What is up, everybody? This is Brian with the Mustard and Mayo, and this is going to be another BMW update, M3 update. I should probably be a little bit more clear on. And in my last video, I was actually on the test drive route for an upcoming meet that I have going on. In my BMW, had a malfunction code pop up, red codes for faulty fuel sensor or something along those lines, as well as some misfires. So I started doing some research. And the number one issue that I figured I would start with is the roughly $50 fuel pressure sensor that is on the back of the fuel rail. I'll show that to you here in just a minute. I just installed that a little bit ago. Cranked up the car. It definitely runs better. It still doesn't go into full limp mode now, which it did before, so that sensor was definitely a problem. But now I'm still getting a cylinder 1 and cylinder 2 misfire code. I've driven it around. I'm getting a ton of fuel out the exhaust. So yeah, there's definitely something going on with either the spark plugs and coil packs as a result of whatever's going on with the fueling issue, or it could be a bad injector. So what this video is going to be is just a quick finger pointing around of what I've had to do to get to the coil packs and the spark plugs. There's a few other videos like these around. I actually had them playing when I was working on the car getting to this point, but I figured I would point out there was a couple things that I was able to do to kind of save some time to get there. So I'll just kind of show you what's going on. All right, so first off, here we are with everything taken off, exposing the coils and the spark plugs all through here. They're all in a line, of course, with these BMWs. Of course, if you're watching this video, you probably already know this. However, what I was talking about first is the first thing that I wanted to try and replace was this fuel pressure sensor, which is, you can see right here with this large, roughly 1 inch or 25 millimeter nut that holds it at the back of the fuel rail here. This is 100% accessible with the majority of the engine components in place. All that I had to remove was the top plastic engine cover. I did remove the 2 little torque screws right here for this reservoir, just to have a little bit more access to get in there. And then with a I didn't have a 25 millimeter or 1 inch wrench somehow. I guess I lost it, but I did have an adjustable wrench, which I was able to get in there to get it broken loose, and then it pretty much comes off by hand. Now, something to note is I have it done right now as well, is anytime you're working with the fuel or the electrical system, you want to disconnect the battery, starting with the negative terminal first. So I did that first. Obviously, if you open up the door or do much of anything, fuel starts pushing through that, so I wanted to avoid that. So make sure you follow any kind of instructions there. So anywho, pulled that part off, put the new part in, hooked it back up, cranked it up. Still has some check engine codes. I read into it a little bit deeper. I got the whatever the Bimmer code app version is that has a little bit more deeper scan tools, and I'm still getting a cylinder 1 and 2 misfire. So something's going on here. Now, when I had my F80, I definitely had to do coil packs. It actually was running and sounding and smelling the same. So I'm going to go ahead and start with these. I don't have the parts, but if I'm just looking at the ones that are in here, this car, again, has 140,000 miles, and there's nothing about these that look replaced. So if they've not been replaced, that's shocking. So we're going to go ahead and do that. But let's go ahead and look at the pile of stuff that I have going on. So here is all of the plastic components that have come off. Here are the tools, for the most part, that I've been needing to get everything apart. And then over here we have the 2 braces, which have to be removed. One is the carbon fiber brace that goes to the front bumper area. And then you have the aluminum brace that goes across the firewall. So most of this stuff can be done pretty quickly with some hand tools. I'll go ahead and start out with kind of the order of the plastic stuff that comes off. So again, this is the plastic engine cover that pulls right off. It actually clips onto this plastic piece, which is underneath of these 2 charge pipes right here. You can actually see where the clips are for that plastic piece, but I'll get to this in a minute. You also do have to remove the weather stripping that goes around the engine bay. There's a little bit of weather stripping that goes right around here for the back of the hood. That just basically peels off. That's really easy to remove. And then there's these little plastic panels that cover up like the fuse box and the jump terminal. And these always come off really easily. There's these little, I don't know what you call these clips, but you basically just rotate them about a quarter turn counterclockwise. They're not actually bolts or anything. They just basically snap into place. Maybe it's a half turn. I don't know. But either way, these panels come off really easily. There's one on the passenger side and one on the driver's side. So you can see I have both of those two panels there. So those come off. And then once you have, I'll go ahead and show you where the brace is. So the brace has, I don't even know, like 12, 13, 14 bolts all over the place. You can see there's the ones that go here on the strut tower. These are all, if I remember right, 15 millimeters. So pretty easy to remove. The ones that are over here in these little circles on the far side, those were a little bit bigger. And then you had these two, which are up top here underneath of the cowl. And I'll actually show you, you do not have to remove the cowl. I've heard some people talking about it somehow. You can actually see there's these little plastic covers that pop off. You can see the bolts are there for it. Now, the carbon fiber brace, that's the one actually that had the 15 millimeter bolts. It had these larger, I'll find them in here. It had these larger 15 millimeter, I think that's what these were, bolts, really easy to come off. The ones for the aluminum brace where, goodness gracious, these like reverse, like torques or whatever you call these things, I'm not sure what they're called. I happen to have the right tool for it. And again, I don't know what it's called. I apologize. This is not my forte to know all the tools. But somewhere over here, there it is. This tool is, had this one for a while. It's an E12. You can see the way the tool is. Now, I can tell you I did not have, or at least I could not find the right size tool for these larger ones that I was talking about. I just did not have the tool that was right for it. However, I believe it was a 13 millimeter or something similar to that. Maybe it was a 12 or an 11. But you could actually fit a 6-point socket over this. And since these bolts don't really have, here we go, this would actually be them. Since these bolts don't apparently have that much torque on them, it wasn't that hard to get them removed. And you can even kind of see with the age of this bolt, there was no stripping or anything like that. So even if you don't, if you're already looking at this video, working on this job, and you don't have any of these type of sockets, you can probably get all of these off without having to buy the tools. Is that recommended? No, but would it work in a pinch? Yes. So once you get all those bolts off, including the two that are up there, then both braces come off really easily. My car does have the adaptive suspension, which not everybody has, but you can see there are these little sensors here on each side. So all I had to do was just pull out the wire. It was clipped in here, disconnect it, and then I could just pull this right through the aluminum brace, because the aluminum brace would actually sit over top of it. So I was just able to pull the wire through. The driver's side does have this one bracket with a 10 millimeter bolt that has to be disconnected as it bolts to that. But in all reality, the brace is actually pretty easy to get off. Now, this is where I was able to cut some time out because I've seen a lot of people going through a ton of work and effort to get the different two charge pipes off, as well as possibly even removing some of the intake system. I don't know why they had to do that, except for the fact that when we go back to this plastic piece here that goes underneath of the charge pipes, BMW just freaking hates people working on their own cars, apparently, because they put this stupid piece of plastic, which is redundant in all reality. I don't think you have to have this piece of plastic when you have this piece of plastic, and guess maybe it's some sort of heat shielding, I don't know. But regardless, this was underneath of the charge pipes, and upon initial inspection, you would think the charge pipes need to come off to get this plastic cover off, which is what I thought as well. But I was so frustrated about the design, I figured I would actually just play around with it. So you do have a couple wires. There's one right here that has a clip that clips onto that plastic, and then there's the one here. This actually clips into the charge pipe itself. You can see this little clip for it there. So I basically disconnected the wires, got the charge pipes loose. As you can see, there's actually a decent amount of play here. So that got me thinking. I was able to basically lift these up and slide out that plastic piece like a tray. Like it just basically slid out. I had to wiggle it through some of the little obstacles through here, but that came out actually pretty easily. And I did not have to get down into the crevices here on both sides, because that's, I imagine why they have to take this pipe off, because the bolts for the charge pipe are just a mess. Now, I'm not replacing the charge pipes, so I could care less. But you can see, even with the charge pipes in place, I can easily get to cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 and 6 are back here as well. So this is going to be really easy to get to from here. These pop off pretty easily. There's a little clip right here. And then you basically kind of lift up on this a little further, and it will actually pop off the wire. And then I don't know if I'll be able to do this one-handed on camera with the original plugs, but these coil packs, there we go. These coil packs pop right out. And then of course the spark plugs come out pretty easily. You do need to have a 14 millimeter thin wall socket. You can get them from anywhere. I have mine over here. Here it is. So you do have to have this 14 millimeter thin wall. Oh yeah, it is a 12 point. So that's the one tool that you need to have. It's a BMW specific thing. Well, maybe not a BMW specific. It's a newer car thing just because of the size of the wells that you have down there. So yeah, that is basically all you need to know for how to get to the spark plugs and coil packs on an F80 or F82 M3 M4. So now I just need to go through and order these coil packs, get everything in, replace all of these, crank it up, and see if we've got the check engine code figured out. So I'll go ahead and upload this video like it is, and then once I have this fixed, or maybe not fixed, I'll go ahead and upload another one.